What is going on, YouTube? Hope you are all doing well. Come on in then. Come on in then. This is Spud. Get in then. Get yourself in then. You okay? Until he has a sock. That's a very nice sock. You going up that way? I thought you might. You coming in this way now? Okay. Cool. I will get to it eventually, but these two haven't seen me all weekend, so they just need a minute. They just need a minute, don't you? Just need a minute. Shed a little bit of love, a little bit of appreciation. Hey? Just cute, aren't we? Just all a bit cute. Yeah. Yeah. Just not very big. Just not, well, you're massive, you're a very big man, but you're just little, aren't you? Just a little lady. The dog channel. Right. Go. And obedient. We are home after what has been a very long and painful weekend at the farm. If you're going to come in, you have to sit still, because Daddy's got a story to tell people. All three of them that watch my YouTube. So, we kicked things off on Saturday with Nadia competing, as well as Amy and Chris from the gym. So very, very exciting. It was quite interesting to be at the comp the day before competing. From memory, that's not something I've done before. And for whatever reason, I was very, very nervous on Saturday morning. And I think it's because you're just in the environment where you're going to compete. Normally, like, the nerves for me don't really set in until I'm at comp. And when I'm at the comp in the morning and there's that quiet, nervous energy as everyone's sort of milling about and people are warming up far too early, that's when all the nerves set in. Kind of had that energy on Saturday morning, even though I knew full well that I'd be competing on the Sunday. The guys did absolutely amazing. Nadia absolutely smashed it. We'll insert a Nadia montage now. Nadia absolutely killed it. She did really, really well. This is Nadia's first time doing a full strongwoman comp in the novice category, coming up from beginners. She placed 9th out of 14, I think, overall, which was a really respectable placing. She had some really, really good showings on stuff. We did hit all of our targets, which was perfect. Our execution on everything was perfect. And she left the day really, really happy and excited, and just had a really, really good day. I think Amy finished in, hopefully I get this right, 7th, and Nico either 7th or 8th. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. All there or thereabouts, mid-pack placings, but all of them had really, really good performances, which is obviously the main goal. Loads of PBs in the mix, just lots of good stuff going on. So made for a really good Saturday. Selfishly, for myself, I was a little bit concerned on the Saturday as it was very sunny, and I'd stupidly parked my chair up, sat in the sun, and by the time it got really hot, everyone had sort of stolen all of the shade a little bit. So moving my chair to sit in the shade also meant isolating myself, which isn't great coaching wise, and obviously then sitting with a random group of people that don't know me, and I'm like, hi, I'm just here for the shade. I had to pull myself away later on in the afternoon to get into some of the barns where it was cooler and just get out of the sun a little bit. Just I had this big fear factor of getting sunburn, or worse, getting sunstroke the day before competition. And the other thing that concerned me was whenever it gets hot, my appetite drops completely. So I was trying to force food in as much as I possibly could, but admittedly was struggling. And I'm like, this isn't setting me up nicely for competing, which was bothering me, but I didn't want it to get to me too much. And then I got back to my Premier Inn, got everything sorted, got everything squared up, nipped to the shop, got some food for the Sunday. Not that I need a lot on competition day really, but got some fresh bottles of water, and I was in bed for 8 o'clock. To be fair, I think I actually got into bed for 7:30, and I was asleep for 8 o'clock, and I got 9, nearly 10 hours rest. My CPAP actually tells me how long I've been wearing a mask for, and it was like 9.7 hours or 9.8, something like that. So near as damn it 10 hours sleep, which definitely had me feeling better-ish in the morning. Something I'm going to disclose now, which I hadn't told anyone, is you can probably hear it in my voice a little bit, on Wednesday this week. I woke up sick. I had the completely blocked nose, congested, phlegmy, headache, all of that jazz. And I've had a little head cold since. And my wife, Yoli, she said to me, you know, you worried? And I was like, nah, you can't stop this train now. Like, all my positive energy's in. I'm thinking about comp, I'm manifesting, all the visualizations happening. Like, we're there now, you know, it is what it is. And if I underperform because I'm ill, then I underperform because I'm ill. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to get upset about it because I can't control it. I just focus on drinking as much water as possible and being as smart as I can. That was also in my head on Saturday while I sat in the sun and sweating a lot. I was drinking a lot of fluid, but I had a headache, felt really rough, which is also why I wanted to get back and get 10 hours sleep. When I woke up this morning, Sunday morning, I was completely blocked-nosed, coughing, phlegming, had a rotten headache this morning. Had to pop a couple of paracetamol, which I don't normally like to do, but I needed to try and shake the pressure off in my head and glugged a load of water. And this isn't me getting excuses in early or anything like that. It's literally just how I was, which can't help it, can you? Sod's law, isn't it? Like, after all that time going, yeah, fuck it, like, I'm not competing, I am competing, I'm not competing, and then committing and then getting ill. But I kept it to myself. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want it to be in a reality, to become too much of a reality. And the reality of it is, unless you're really, really sick and you know you need to pull out, if you feel like you can still perform, in my opinion, that's the only time where we just lock in and go. You know, I know all of my friends that compete at a high level have done the same at some point. I know Ben had to do it for Britain's Strongest Man. Was it Britain's, where he was sick? Yes, it was. Yeah, Brits, he was poorly. Fucking hell. In the build-up and on the day and whatever. You just got to crack on. You just got to get on with it and hope that your body performs and you just feel like shit in between. Got there in the morning for comp, and that was very much the case. Hi. Felt really rough, but kept drinking fluid. Had a coffee and some oats in the morning. Sat in the car park, and then it was game time pretty much. Athlete meeting was at like 9:30ish. Found out the mystery event was a lumberjack carry, which is a sandbag to the shoulder, and then a farmer's pick up and carry at 10 meters. I didn't really know what to think of that when that was announced. I was kind of obviously hoping for something a little bit more grippy and something beginning with D, but clearly not. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter what it is, really. We're all in the same boat, and we've just got to get on with it. So we didn't know. The only thing I didn't know was the weights, which ended up being 120 kilo sandbag and 120 kilo farmers. But we'll get onto that in a bit. So, first event was deadlift. Warm-ups felt really good. I could feel that my body was firing fairly well, and I was just excited to get into it. One thing I really like about the max deadlift as a first event, like, it means that your first lift in front of everyone, you know, what feels like your very first event, if you like your first 3, 2, 1 go, is with a weight that you know you can do. So it helps with the nerves for sure. I really do see that as quite a nice way into a competition. So did that, opened with 280. That felt great. That felt really good. I was wondering if there was going to be some disparity between how warm-ups felt in the warm-up room setup versus out on the actual platform using the Cambridge wheels, but pretty similar really, nothing really concerning there. Took 280, went 300 for my second, had a little bit of knee shudder on my 300, but pulled it way smoother than I did in the gym a couple of weeks prior, so I knew that a little bit more was there. I was thinking somewhere around 310. Quick discussion with Harry, and 320 kilos was going to be potentially enough for second place in that event. Just the way that things were panning out, if people missed their thirds, that would put me potentially in second place. I knew when we were talking about it that 320 was a little bit of a roll of the dice. And I knew that 310 was going to be a little bit more guaranteed. But the points I would have got for 310 wouldn't have made the world of a difference compared to the points I'd have got if I'd have pulled 320 and come second. And with that, you know, this is where I talk about, if the door presents itself, we try and walk through it. We do everything we can to walk through it. So I was like, do you know, I've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. Let's load 320. I'll give it my best. Hit that sticking point at the knee, came straight back down again. Just wasn't there. Just strength-wise, it isn't there. With the way that pull works for me and the way that it hits my sticking point, just not strong enough. Simple as that, to pull 320 on that setup. Which part of your brain's like, oh, fucking hell, I've done 3 reps with 320 before. Not on that setup, I haven't. The most I pulled on that setup is 300 kilos. And I pulled that very well on my second attempt. So no regrets, not upset about that at all. It put me in joint 4th, which was still decent points. And I know that obviously everything's still to play for the rest of the day. The only thing I would say, in terms of everything being all to play for, I did notice on the Saturday that Luke Ogborn had entered last minute, and Luke is someone that beat me at Boston's, is a very, very good athlete, under 120 kilo world's strongest man, under 23 champion as well. He's done a lot of stuff at a high level, has done the English Open to a good standard. He is just a much better strong man than me. And as soon as I saw his name, I was like, well, he's going to beat me. That's for sure. That's probably going to be the guy to beat overall to win. Not that that's a massive concern, but I was like, in your head, you're just like, okay, cool, I knew. There was a few other names in there. I was like, yeah, there's going to be some scraps in there for us lot. But as soon as I saw Luke's name, I was like, well, that's that decided. Unless some disaster happens, which I doubt it. So Luke didn't actually win the deadlift though. Rich did, who's the under 80 kilo world's strongest man. Hopefully I've not got that wrong. The world's strongest racer on Instagram. Really, really nice chap. I know he'd been through a lot himself with his prep. So he'd been a little bit all over the place with a few bits and pieces. Has been quite public about that on Instagram, so it's not me sharing his personal business too much. Really, really nice chap, and he's partnered up with Alice, who I've known on the UKNS circuit for a little while now, for a year or so, a couple of years, and she's lovely as well. So it's great to have those guys kicking around at the comp. Rich actually won the deadlift with 330. I think Luke came second with 317.5. And then I think there was a 310, and then myself and another pulling 300 for joint 4th. So that set us up nicely for the day. That was that job done. And then we moved into the second event, which was the press, which was another really comfortable one for me mindset wise, because as we know, the goal for the competition was to press the 135 log and completely leave the axle alone. I had in my head that was going to be potentially quite competitive, where a lot of people would do the log and miss the axle, but at least waste a load of energy trying it. So although we'll score the same points, they would be a little bit fucked going into whatever the mystery event would be, and maybe that works in my favour. That was the idea there. I wasn't going to risk my knees or my biceps trying to do an axle that I know is just not available to me yet. So that was a smart thing to do. Absolutely smokes the 135 log. Really happy with that. That moved really, really well, to be fair. Felt great. Felt very easy. And then obviously just swore at the axle and left it as that and walked away. That ended up actually being really good points. I was third on that event, with a lot of guys missing the log, and then only a couple of guys managing to do the axle as well as the log. See, I am poorly, which is probably going to be feeling worse tomorrow. It's okay, I'm fine. He loves to come check up on you when you cough a lot. And you come to check up on me now as well. I'm still telling my story, go away. So that brought us into the event 3, the mystery event, which is the sandbag and farmer's carry, aka the lumberjack carry. Had no idea what to expect. Stood watching the first few opens guys go out and doing it and having an absolute mare with it. Rich went out before me. He was someone that I thought would do really well on it. I'd seen that he'd been doing some single arm deadlift, single arm farmers carries and stuff in training and bits and pieces, suitcase style stuff. So I thought maybe he might just feel like a certain groove with it. He picked up sandbag, shouldered it, obviously, picked up the farmers, managed a few steps. I think he managed like 4 meters or something like that in total. And that really opened my eyes as to how much of a task this was going to be. And just finishing the event was going to be a real feat in itself. And I was kind of mentally okay with not doing well on this, because at the end of the day, I haven't trained for it, and you're trying to figure out how to do it in a moment. It's not something I have any experience in. And I also was stood there thinking, I don't remember if I've ever shouldered a 120 bag. Obviously, I'm strong enough. I'd like to think I'm strong enough, because I can kind of get a 100 kilo bag airborne before it lands on my shoulder. But I've actually never done it. And I was like, I could make a meal of that in itself. So I'm just going to be super open-minded, try my fucking best, see how we end up. Scooped the 120 bag up, no problem. Got that onto my shoulder. Had a little bit of a wobble as I found my core a little bit more. Then picked up the frame, the farmer's handle. And when I picked it up and got settled, once I'd pushed into my belt, I felt really, really stable with it. I kind of limped a little bit to start off with, because it just sort of found a rhythm. I was a bit clunky. I was in my Olympic lifters, which definitely helped with the pickup but hindered the walking. Luckily, it was only for a 10 meter carry anyway. Then I started to settle with it even more and picked up some speed and got over the line quite quickly, and was a first Opens athlete to complete the event, which was definitely cause for celebration. So I let out a big war cry and was very happy with that one. Especially because obviously you just have no idea how it's going to go, and you're blagging it in the moment. And hearing all of the noise as I was like over halfway in and building speed and getting quicker, you could just hear the whole room going crazy. The atmosphere at the farm is fucking incredible. So that really, really lit me up, and was definitely up there as one of my highlights, if not the highlight of the day, to be fair. That then brought us into the keg carry, which was event 4. So they changed the order. Originally it was written as kegs was last and truck pull was, or vehicle pull was 4th. They ended up swapping it round, so we're doing the kegs first and then going into the truck pull, which I was happy with. It makes no odds. You've got to do all the events anyway, so there's no point flapping about stuff like that. It doesn't matter how many times you try and tell yourself that you're going to be all right with an event that you have once before royally fucked up. There was a lot of like anxiousness going into the keg carry, especially obviously the last time I did a keg carry at Boston's, it went horribly wrong. I just wanted to load all 4 on, and was going to try and go as fast as I could without being clumsy. I was very conscious that we were doing it on like the yard floor, which is a bit like gravelly, dirty, as in it's dirt, and it was slippy. I watched a couple of guys on a Saturday slip on it, which made me go, oh God, fucking hell. It's like almost like doing it on a fucking ice rink, especially when you're 140 kilo carrying a 150 keg. Like, that's a lot of pressure through your foot, and if that slips, it's a lot at once to move and change direction. But anyway, so I was quite nervous about that event. I was also sat in 4th overall, and I was behind 3rd place by either half a point or a point, I can't remember now. But the way that the events had worked, the guy that was above me in 3rd went out before me on the kegs. And this is where we start to play the game of strongman a little bit, to see if we can present ourselves with another door to be open so I can start to work my way back onto the podium. The goal for this event is to load 4 kegs to get the job done. However, now the door presents itself. Me and Harry timed the gentleman who did the kegs before me. He did it in however many seconds, but I let Harry deal with that. And I was like, right, okay, I just need to beat him. I watched at his pace and I was like, I can move those kegs a little bit quicker than that. Better foot speed with the kegs and better transitions, you know, tilt them over, get my other hand on and just pick, don't wait or try and spend time breathing and bracing, just fucking pick them up. And I know that I'm tall enough to get them onto the trailer, or at least that was the plan. I performed perfectly on that. It was without doubt my strongest performance of the day. And I flowed through them really, really nicely. I was really happy with that. I felt safe. I felt stable. I felt fairly quick. and I loaded all for 6 seconds faster than the gentleman that I needed to beat, which I was very happy with. And I thought it might even be enough to take an event win. But then there is Mr. Luke Ogborn, who loves nothing better than to beat me at events. And he beat me by 0.3 of a second. But I took second in that event, and that was my highest placing of the day. So that set me up in a really good position. I was now on the podium, but I was only on the podium by either a point or half a point. Again, can't really remember. It's on Strength Register though, and I think all the data's still there, so you're all welcome to go and look. And that meant that we had secured podium. What that I now needed to do was put in a stellar truck pull, vehicle pull, tractor pull, to either secure me in third place, or even, if I can, potentially win the event, which I knew I was capable of doing because I'm decent at pulling vehicles, win the event and maybe put enough bodies between me and the guy that was second. I think he was 2.5 points ahead of me, so I'd need like 3 people between us to chip him by half a point and put me in second. But obviously he's got a pull as well, and he might pull, good enough or better than me. I don't know. So at that point, it's all to play for. I just needed a really, really good truck pull. Watching the guys go out for the tractor, some of them were just really, really struggling to move it. Inevitably, some of the slightly lighter athletes struggling to move it. So you're thinking, well, I've got the body weight behind me, so I might be all right. And then one guy pulled it almost all the way. And I was like, right, okay, it's doable then. It is doable. I've got to finish this. I've got to get it over the line. That tractor is the hardest fucking vehicle I've ever pulled in my life. It doesn't really freewheel at all. It almost feels like pulling a sled. So as you're pulling it, if you start to slow down or stop, it just stops. It doesn't gain any momentum at all. Normally with the truck pull, those of you that have done it, like as the wheels start turning, you just build momentum and it all gets easier and faster, and it's just about timing and leg speed and hand speed and proprioception and body angle, and it all can just fall into place and you end up basically running with stuff behind you. I knew this was going to be heavier. I just didn't expect it to not freewheel. I gave it fucking everything I had. Like I was walking up to the harness, and it's a little bit extreme, but I was looking at the harness like I am just fucking willing to die here. I am willing to give this everything I've got. I just wanted to get into the mindset where this is the last event and I want to empty the tank. Like if I'm, if I fall unconscious or whatever from just opening the taps on this, if I tear something, I don't care. I just want to do the best I possibly can. And it felt really, really freeing and really exciting to have that level of focus and aggression without it feeling reckless. It wasn't just angry. It was like, I just need to do this and I need it to be exceptional. And I am willing to give everything into this fucking harness and this front rope and see the job done. Got myself into a decent position, hit into the harness, felt the tractor move, and I was like, I've fucking got this. This is smoked. And then I went into the next step and it felt harder. And the next step, and it felt harder. And that's the point where I realized that every single step felt like your initial pull because it wasn't gaining momentum. So you just had to keep working. And I got into a flow state where I'd put my feet behind me, get my feet together, lean, step forwards, lean, step forwards, lean, pulling with my arms the whole time. On the video, it looks like I'm motoring on a lot more than how it felt in the moment. I generated some good speed, but as I'm doing it, I can just feel like the life leaving my body, and all the energy leaving my soul. My legs are running out of power. My arms are running out of power. But there was no way of like dropping back into a cruise state where you can just use the momentum and plod through it and get it over the line. You couldn't slow down. You slowed down, the tractor got heavier. It was absolutely insane. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Didn't hurt myself, touch wood, happy days. Everything was good, and I cleared enough distance, and I actually managed to beat not only the guy that was close up my arse in fourth, but I actually managed to beat the guy that was in second place as well, but that only closed the gap by a point. So there was a point and a half between us. So I finished the day off in third place and got this really, really cool Haynes Farm medal, which, to be honest, when I looked at them, I preferred the medal to the trophies anyway. So Luke got the trophy. He can fucking have that. And that's the second time I've stood on the podium with that guy. The great thing about it is Luke's absolutely fucking sound as well. I didn't speak much with the gentleman that comes second, but had a quick fist pump and a well done when we was on the podium. And I'm sure he's a nice guy. And if he sees this, then I apologise for not being able to catch up and chat with you much. Maybe you were in the zone as much as I am, or I was. One thing I really do take away from the day, though, was that wasn't me at my best. We all know, those of us that have watched my vlogs know that wasn't the perfect prep. Far from it. I'm not at my strongest, and still managed to put together a performance that I'm proud of. I think me at my strongest, at my absolute best, would have been enough to take second and just close the gap on Oggy. I'm not ready to be beating someone like him just yet, which is okay. My day may come. You never know, Oggy, you never know. But for now, I'm very, very happy with where I'm at, and I just need to get my body a little bit healthier, get rid of the snots. Oh my God, Tilly, that made me jump out my skin. But yeah, overall, just chuffed. I think the most valuable thing that I've took from this, which I hope those of you that have followed along are able to do yourself, is recognising that if you just set a realistic plan for the day and then focus on just having fun, and then when it comes to executing your plan, you take that really seriously. You take that really, really seriously, and you execute your plan to the best of your ability, and you give it everything you possibly have. Sometimes shit happens. Sometimes it doesn't. Just do the best you possibly can, and then let everything else, leave it up to fate for the most part. Don't get me wrong. When you are doing your best and opportunities present themselves, you do everything you possibly can to walk through that door, as and when they present themselves. But for the most part, just have fun and stick to your plan, because the reality of it is, if you do exactly what I've just done, I set the plan, I executed the plan, I had a really good time, and I came home with something to show for it. And it's that strongman, people. I had a really good chat with Luke Oggy about that, recognising that when you get to a decent level in strongman, when you get to open level in strongman, and even inters, to be fair, excuse me, depending on some comps, there's not a lot to be said for going to a comp where you're significantly better than everyone else. You know, there's no real like decent athletes there. You know that, everyone else knows that, and you win every event comfortably without really trying, and you go home with a trophy. As much as that's a win and it's great and whatever, if you underperform, or you have to underperform, or some of that just doesn't sit so well. Instead, focus heavily on stretching yourself, competing at higher levels, competing at a higher standard, and then focus on your performance. Because if you walk into a comp and you PB in every event from what you've done in training, or you just execute the plan fucking perfectly, and you walk away like I have today, knowing that there's literally nothing you could have done to make the day any better. Like, that I didn't fumble anything, I wasn't, I didn't make any silly mistakes, I executed the plans perfectly, I warmed up perfectly, my mindset was in a great place all day. There was nothing there that interfered with me being able to put out my best performance, and I walked away doing that. If I did that in a competition and I walked away with that kind of a performance and I came flat last, I'd still be really happy. And I've proved that in events previously where at England's most powerful, I pulled 3 reps on the deadlift for a huge lifetime PB and celebrated like I'd won the whole event, when actually I came flat last on that event and I was 5 reps off the next position. It was a big loss. But to me, it was a massive win, because progression is king, especially in these types of competitions. I've performed really, really well there with less than ideal circumstances. I'm sick, I've got niggles, and I've had a shit prep, and I've been all over the place, and I've still managed to perform to a high standard. I've learned so much from this whole process that I've progressed. Although I may not physically be at my absolute strongest and taking huge PBs here, there, and everywhere, I'm in a position now where I've got so many tools in my armory to be able to apply to my next prep and the next prep and the next prep. And it's just a case of just watch this space, guys. Watch the shit I'm about to do. I'm bringing you all with me, and I am so ready to present the version of myself that I believe that I'm capable of. And it's far higher than anything I ever first thought. I've now managed to pull a team together of the most incredible people, and I've created the most incredible environment with my gym, and I'm now fucking crying. I'm now so excited to be able to work towards goals I'd never even dreamt of 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And here we are. So stay with me, stay with the journey. I'm still going to put out every training video. I'm going to keep bringing this stupid little camera with me. So I've got Restoration Week next week. My new coach, who will be announced, some of you can probably guess, but I have a new coach, and I will be announcing who that is with my next vlog, where I'll be plodding through my Restoration Week, plodding through my sessions there, and talking about him or her, and what our plans are for the next competitions coming up, and the next phases of training as we work closely together to see the job done. So thank you so much for those of you that watched along. Please like, comment, subscribe, keep supporting my channel. It's only little, and I want to grow it. I've never actually been this passionate about YouTube. I fucking hate social media, Facebook, Instagram, because it always feels like a chore. But this feels really easy now, and I have this ability now to connect with people through this in a way that I don't do that on Instagram and Facebook. A couple of you guys who are perhaps watching this came up to me and spoke to me at Hanes, recognised me, and not that I'm fucking famous, but you know what I mean. You guys, you know, you've been to my gym, you know my clients, you shook my hand, you congratulated me at the end of the competition, and you know my journey, and that's what it's all about for me. Because what I'm trying to do with this channel isn't just, hey guys, look at me doing really well, which is actually how I originally perceived it when I first started. As like, I just want to show people, you know, what I'm about, this, that, and the other. Nah, I want to show people how to get good at strongman, because I've figured it out. So, and I'm not someone that was deadlifting 400 at 20 years old. I'm not a 6'8", 400-pound super freak. I'm not genetically gifted in any way, shape or form. Yeah, I'm a little bit taller, but I was less than 70 kilos when I first started training, and it's taken me a long time to get to this point. And I want you guys to see how you have to put things together to achieve things that you never even dreamt were possible. And I've done that with so many things in my life now, and I'm ready to do it with this too. I haven't got long left, in the sense that I'm 33, so the clock is ticking. It's not very loud yet, the old ticking of the clock, but it will get loud if I'm not too careful. So I have no time to waste, let's put it that way. Guys, without further ado, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace, love and cake.